Get ready, because story time just got real.
I had an office in the city on the second floor. The town was hopping around the clock, like me. I was just into my 8th espresso, perusing the pages, making my way to the crossword puzzles. And there it was again, the 4th one this month. Another disappearance linked to a talking board. The gumshoe in me couldn't take it any longer. I was gonna need some answers, or at least some more questions. As coincidence would have it, I needed to return a call to my old pal, Robert Murch. Mabel, get me Murch. Murch, Cowler here.
How is it going? I've been waiting for your call.
Listen, I got a situation here. I needs to get the lowdown on these talking board gizmos. There's letters, numbers, symbols all over the thing. And some kind of plate with a hole in it, Murch. A planchette, they call it. I hears reports strange things is happening when they mess with it, Murch. Are you pretty deep into this stuff? Even has some of these, eh?
I do. I own over 1,000 different talking boards.
So what's the skinny on these? I mean, what are these things anyway?
Well, talking boards were devices that leaked out of the spiritualist community and were meant to part the veil and talk to the dead.
What makes these things tick? I mean, how do you operate this contraption, huh?
So what you're supposed to do is you take a board and you put letters and numbers on it, some symbols, yes, no, goodbye, and then you create a little planchette, a little pointer where you can place your fingertips on, ask a question, and slowly the planchette will move over those letters and numbers and symbols and answer your questions.
Whose brain pan thinks up something like that anyway?
They kind of naturally evolved out of the spiritualist movement. But Ouija proper, it comes out of Maryland. And Charles Kennard would take that idea and he would go to Baltimore and he would basically start making boards until the board got its name.
What's this thing made of?
Well, originally they were made out of like wood, but since then people make them out of all kinds of things. People make them out of paper, cardboard, stone, you name it. And to be honest with you, if you're really questioning how these things work and where they come from, I think the best thing to do is actually make one yourself.
I know just the guy that can handle it, Murch.
It will work just as well as if you bought one from a store.
Thanks.
Later, man.
I needed a plan. First, I'd have to wipe this dumbfounded look off my mug, and in the morning, I'd pay this Ferenc character a visit. You Ferenc?
Well, it depends. Who are you?
Cowler Shepherd.
Okay.
Word over the wire is you're the go-to guy. You spend a lot of time making crazy things for all kinds of people.
Not wrong about that.
I'm on a case, and I need your help. I need you to make me a talking board. One of these spirit boards with the numbers and letters that the people talk to the dead.
Standard 14 by 22, made of what?
How about some of that black rocks that I saw on the way in here?
Absolute black granite.
Yeah, granite, that's the ticket. Listen, why don't you do some of that fancy engraving all over it that I hear so much about?
I grab a cup of coffee.
Nah, I gotta get on the streets. I got weeks to do. But I'll be checking in and watching. I'll seize you in the funny papers. There's something strangely familiar about this Ferenc character. He seemed to know what I was thinking.
Now, what Cowler wasn't thinking, what he did not know, is that this absolute black granite that we commonly call it is not a true granite at all. It's a stone called gabbro. It forms deep in the tectonic plates of the Earth and carries a very high specific density. With measurements marked, I'd square up the piece, set the track for the wet saw, set my depth, and begin to cut. 3 passes. I moved on to the polishing. 6 linear feet. 8 steps of grits. Over 1,000 passes to get this to a glass shine on this first tier of the board. It got me thinking of the business end. How does anyone get a patent for a board to talk to the dead?
To get one of these things, you gotta prove your contraption works. And that's just what this new guy on the block, Elijah Bond, along with the impeccable Miss Peters, set out to do by paying the chief patent clerk a visit. And then he threw him a curveball. You don't know me's, I don't know you's. If this is the genuine article, then spell my name. They then proceeded to do that voodoo that they do.
You've got your patent.
And the rest was history.
It became the best-selling board of all time.
The market exploded, with millions being sold worldwide. But myself, I was doing a one-off.
I created a master stencil and with transfer tape, adhered it to the stone.
Masking everything off and inspecting every part of the surface, it was time to frost the lettering. I suited up, and with the chamber loaded with 220 aluminum oxide, I began to riddle the surface. A depth of only 2.5 micrometers. Approximately the thickness of a printing ink. This would give me the mechanical bond I needed for the lithochrome application later. And once filled, the planchet could slide freely across the surface with zero resistance. With the surface cleaned up and inspected once again, I was ready for the hand diamond point engraving. I began by transferring some simple sketches that I had done, then taking the diamond engraver and setting the lines. Beginning with only the faintest of a pattern, I could begin to build on the most subtle tones first. The engraver is a reciprocal tool with a small diamond set into the tip of the scribe. This form of engraving is often referred to as stippling. The skull has long been seen in history as a symbol of life and death.
So in the 1800s, there was so much death. Death was so pervasive in our communities and in our families that talking to the dead at night was just common because you lost so many people.
Mortality and immortality.
Death was part of life.
Serving to represent the relationship between this world and the next.
People who wanted to speak to the other side.
Yes, move it right along. Looking dandy. But hey, this thing looks a little on the heavy side, eh?
2 centimeter black granite, about 12 pounds per square foot. I suppose you're gonna want some kind of stand or a base for this thing then, huh?
Why don't you make me one?
Dude, I've got way too much going on right now.
Where am I gonna get one of these things?
I'll do you one better.
Hey, the new issue of Hard Case. Ellen Durkan, huh? Thanks for the tip, Ferenc. And there she was. She was the whole package. She had the look, the skills. She even had her own forge with a skull. Out of all the workshops, studios, and YouTube build videos, I had to have her in mind. You, Ellen? Right then, I knew now that I'd be able to get this board investigation thing up off the ground. With the top frame and leg pieces cut, welded together, she got down to the nitty-gritty of doing more sketch works. She had a thing for the coal forge, heat isolation, more room for the type of work that she specialized in. A power hammer and a 2-pound hand hammer were part of the weapons in her arsenal. With a reputation for high-caliber intricate works, metal fashion, the horn end of that anvil was no stranger. With each heat, forge, each twist and turn, she took those mental images and transferred them into metal, periodically checking her work against the design, like some kind of artistically contorted figure in the chalk lines of a crime scene. She had a special way about her that caused that mild steel to bend to her will. Once she was satisfied with the form and the function, she'd weld them into their final resting place. Some tweaking and fine-tuning with the hand tools. The last thing they saw was a mug full of oxyacetylene. In the meantime, Ferenc was finishing up the painting of the lithochrome, blading it off once it dried, to finish the board part of this project before starting on the planche.
I'd figured on red heart as a suitable wood, given the shape of the planchette. Carved in a shelf in the sight hole to set the mineral glass. Beef marrow bones, leftovers from dinner a couple of weeks ago. I cut, shaped, and prepped the bone to begin the scrimshaw. Inset into the larger planchette, this could be removed and worn as a miniature pendant. With everything nearing completion, I got this strange feeling that Cowler just didn't know what he was getting himself into. This wasn't my first go-round. This was no novelty. What we made is no toy. anything more to these than the subconscious movements of the practitioners, and yet many still believe that sit to the board that this is a tool to pierce the veil. You sure about this?
Sure, what could go wrong? Hey! Hey, what's going on here? Hey! Thanks for watching, eh? Listen, for more information on our products, what you see here, and more, follow the links in the description below. Oh, and remember to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. Sees you in the funny papers. Hey, how do I get out of here?